Behind the Counter is sponsored by
GoDaddy.com. Sign up for a new account and get your domain name for only $2.49 by using promo code Queens at checkout.
All right, hello and welcome everybody once again to another episode of Behind the Counter. I'm your host, Rich Stambolin, and with me as always, all the way from the North Pole, Jonathan Adler.
Hey.
Because you're so cold.
I'm so cold. Ice cold, baby.
What's going on?
Not a whole
do you
lot.
do that to the theme song, like when you're not here?
No, I normally don't listen to the theme song unless I'm driving.
Okay.
I just have it on loop in my car at all times.
It gets you jacked up. So
if we were pros, this is what we come out to. For anything like a race car driver.
Oh, absolutely.
If we were on the Yankees, you'd come out to this song.
Yeah.
I imagine like a video montage.
Yeah.
When we start doing appearances next year,
yeah,
we'll
be doing signings at Ultimate Comics on Springfield Boulevard.
Ugh.
yes. Well, they're in Whitestone now.
We'll be at Springfield Boulevard.
Are you living in 1998 Springfield Boulevard?
We're posting up.
Are you gonna like Geno's for pizza?
Yeah, man, I like Geno's.
Like the bad kids hanging out in front of the dollar store?
That's
Yeah, man.
I haven't had Geno's in forever. It's some of the best pizza on earth.
It really is.
Mwah.
It's pretty good.
Albanian pizza.
I'm big. Are they Albanians?
Yeah.
No wonder. Okay, that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
I've really fallen in love with Michael and Sons.
Where's that?
It's somewhere in Flushing. I
Okay.
forget where it is. But I order from them. I don't know. I've never been there.
Yeah?
It's awesome.
Just like on a whim, you did the pizza experiment?
I think I got a flyer for them or something.
Nice.
I think I got
Forward
it.
me that information.
It's very
I still
good.
do Graziella's. I don't know if they'll deliver all
You
the way
don't do
to
Pizza
you.
Garden anymore?
No.
Drop the Pizza Garden.
They hate me. I won a lot of money there one night because they have the lotto.
Uh-huh.
And
I thought the card game was what you were
I
playing.
I walked in and with Vicky and just had like a lunch, like a $10 lunch, and I ended up winning like not a substantial amount of money, but like I played one game and I was the most hated guy in that place for those like 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
They hate your guts.
Yeah, because he had to like
You gotta play Blood Debt now.
he had to refill the register. Yeah.
Manja.
Again, I'm not saying it's a lot of money, but it was nice.
It's enough to annoy them in the afternoon.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely.
Something they did not want to be doing.
Anyway, thank you for tuning in. This is your one-stop shop for everything comic book related.
Everything.
But today, I think it's going to be a little more movie related.
Oh.
A lot of news. A lot of news today.
Oh, I got a movie on the brain. It's Oscar time.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a lot of illegal downloads of films, so I'm watching everything.
Don't say that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking like
You get the screeners.
theoretically
Because of
I'm
the show.
I'm pressed. I am pressed. Yeah.
He is pressed. And do you watch Oscar before Oscar season?
The film?
The Stallone movie?
Of course, I watch it every year.
Awesome.
Well, I watch it on Christmas because that's what we do. You may not know it, but Oscar is one of the great Christmas films. Even though it doesn't take place at Christmas or have anything to do with Christmas per se, it's still a Christmas movie.
I feel that way about a few movies, like the Lord of the Rings flicks and Star Wars movies.
Well, Lord of the Rings, you do the all day thing, and mine is Goodfellas and Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, okay, all right, I can see that.
Yeah.
Die Hard.
Die Hard.
Throw in there.
Die Hard is like one of the better Christmas movies out there. There's a lot of love for Home Alone all over again.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like a lot of people just are reclaiming Home Alone.
Yeah, Home Alone's a great movie.
It is.
I think that was the first movie when I was a kid that really made me like almost pee my pants laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember seeing it and just
loved it.
6-year-old me couldn't shut up about it.
I couldn't. I still can't believe that no one talks about the fact that the old man is Jesus in the movie.
What do you mean?
The old guy?
Yeah.
The one
He's
that's
supposed to be Jesus.
supposed to be Jesus.
Okay.
Yes. He's got the stigmata. He's got bandages on his hands.
What is this? Is this like a thing? Was it
Yeah,
an
it's a
online
thing.
Yeah. I gotta look this up.
Well, when I saw it, the kid that I saw it with,
Uh-huh.
who I don't talk to anymore, we had a falling out. How old were we when
Is
it
it
came
Bobby?
out? No, it's not Bobby.
Like,
I don't talk to Bobby anymore.
Under 10.
Under 10?
Yeah.
Under 10. We were under 10.
I think so.
I think so too. I think it was like
When Home Alone came out?
Yeah.
1992.
1992. So 12 years old for me.
Mm-hmm.
The kid that I saw it with was, he went to, church and everything, and he knew the story, and like him and his mom, after seeing it, were like talking to Jesus about me with Home Alone,
wow.
and looking at the whole film as like a religious, message for the whole.
That he found his way home and
Joe Pesci, the wet bandits are like, are like
Jesus.
demons. Or like,
Did you see the part? It was on Reddit how the father threw away Kevin's
who cares?
thing.
Does that really like change the entire spin of the
People,
movie?
it like changed the entire movie
What does
for
that
people.
change? I saw this morning. A family member's significant other did this.
Okay, go ahead.
What does that do?
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
So there's like, did you know? And they show like the images or whatever. And they show like that they spill the soda all over the tickets. They throw away Kevin's Macaulay Culkin's ticket. So like this, it changes everything. The last panel is like mind blown.
Yeah, because
Okay.
the scene where they're like going
But
through.
I'd never missed that.
So he wouldn't have been able to go on the trip anyway.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the
And
whole
it's
thing
like
was
a
like
weird
they
meta
handed-
kind of.
Well, no,
thing.
the reason why is that like people always question like, well, she handed the tickets to like the ticket lady, and
No
they
Kevin.
counted like everybody's ticket was even. So like to them, like that's why they got on the plane because
but they
everybody
should-
was accounted for.
but-
But how do you not know your kid is with you?
But that's not even the point.
A lot of kids.
But that's not even the point.
Insane.
They show they like before the shot happens. I don't want to waste too much time with this, but they show his ticket. They show soda fall on. They show him pick up all the stuff off the table, and then clearly Kevin with his name written on in the garbage. I've seen this since I was 12 years old.
I gotta check that out.
It'll blow your mind.
Very
It'll
interesting.
change the way you look at Home Alone
Great.
forever.
Thanks. I had a similar thing last night watching Mary Poppins, and
I love that movie.
I love that movie too. It's one of my favorite. Like I'm not big on the Disney movies, but like
I love
I think that's my
It's a
favorite Disney
story.
movie. Yeah. And I got into it with the wife about how because she loves that movie a lot, and I was like, like
You ever see it live?
yes,
It's awesome.
yeah, it's when she flies over the crowd. It's fantastic. We went from talking about Total Divas to talking about Mary Poppins.
Crazy. Who are we becoming in the new year?
So we are gonna rub beards together. So my theory on Bert is that because he's a bum, he's like a chimney sweep and he's like a weird like ragtag
Jesus.
guy. I don't think he's Jesus. my thing about Bert is that he was a kid that Mary Poppins is ageless. He's a kid that she took care of when he was younger, and the experience messed him up so bad that he could never love another woman besides Mary Poppins, and just does odd jobs to be in the same area
He
as
needs to
her.
wear blackface when he's around.
Yeah. So that'll blow
good.
your mind when you think about that.
Yeah. Blew my mind.
Couldn't find another lover.
I'll take that. I could roll with that.
Right?
I love that. I love that story.
Yeah.
And did you watch because you're gonna see the Tom Hanks movie?
No, it's been on I think it's been on Family Channel like the whole
Probably
week.
because of the Mr. Banks thing.
Yeah.
Which is now an Oscar contender.
J. Jonah Jameson. Let's jump into the movies with that awesome segue.
Oh yeah.
Movie news.
All right, so I've been watching a lot of movies. Reading a lot of stuff about movies, and it's around this time. I guess every year they start really planning ahead for what's going to be happening with the films and
Comic books.
comic book films.
Yeah.
So I think let me just pull this up real quick. I get my notes. I think that the big talk recently has been Batman, Superman. Ever since they made the Ben Affleck thing, they've been really talking about a lot more attention. I think this is going to do leaps and bounds better than Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Have you seen Man of Steel yet?
Yeah, I loved it.
Okay. Did we talk about this already?
No.
Okay.
Maybe.
I don't know if we have.
Maybe we did. I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, we did. We talked about the whole Jesus thing and all that stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
So anyway, so Ben Affleck's in this now. The new news is that is that
News.
David Goyer, who writes everything in comic books for whatever reason, he's the guy who does all the movies. He is now being pushed out, and he is being replaced by the guy who wrote Argo.
Right.
So Ben Affleck is now doing like a little weird coup. So we're also bringing Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix is supposedly playing Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I can see him.
I like it.
I it's fine, but I feel like when I see Joaquin Phoenix and just like what a strong character actor he is, Riddler.
Riddler?
Yeah.
No.
I'll do Riddler. Like he can do like a good take on like what Heath Ledger did for Joker. I think Joaquin Phoenix can do for Riddler, just like a slimy Edward Nygma.
I think he'd bring more depth to the character. I think that would be I think it would be very interesting. Riddler, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're definitely going to waste him on Lex Luthor, which is probably a role he'll do for one movie and then never come back to it.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, if that's the case, we're going to slowly bring in Casey Affleck to play Jimmy Olsen or whoever other.
I think he's too old to play Jimmy Olsen at this
Why
point.
not?
He's like 30 now.
So what's his name is 33 years old.
Who?
Superman, that movie.
What's his name?
No, the movie he's supposed to be 33.
Yeah.
And Batman's supposed to be like,
in this
Ben
one.
Affleck. Supposed to be his age. So I think eventually I think in the next few months we're gonna hear that Zack Snyder's gonna get pushed out. Ben Affleck's gonna direct it himself and just take over the franchise.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's gonna. You mean run the franchise into the ground?
Pretty much. I mean, can you fathom a week? Because they're also trying to throw in everybody. So Martian Manhunter might be Jason Momoa in the movie.
Okay, I'm down with that.
I'm really cool with that. But there's Wonder Woman is definitely in the movie. They've cast her. She's a very pretty girl. I think I think this movie's going to be such a piece of horseshit.
Yes,
because like
we could say that.
Yeah, I think they have no. I think they're slowly just want to make this into a Batman movie like this. Screw it. Why would we just make this a Batman movie? I wouldn't be surprised if they say Joaquin Phoenix is playing the Joker in the movie.
Okay, I can see that.
That's their like coup, and they're slowly going to make this into
just Batman.
Just Batman doing stuff.
Batman doing stuff. The other side of the coin on that is that there's maybe a slim possibility that this guy wants to make up for Daredevil.
I think that's stuck with him. I definitely think so.
And I think he wants to make it as best as he can. But I also feel like
don't you feel limited by him?
Yeah, we're so far beyond just like the internet. The internet literally exploded that day.
It's not well liked idea.
No, it's not well liked. I feel like there was more, and this is like a sad statement about like social media, but there was more Ben Affleck hate than there was any social media about Nelson Mandela. True. Like the Nelson Mandela stuff happened, and it was like
it's easy then.
A day, and then the Ben Affleck stuff lasted for like a good 2.5 weeks.
Well, because Nelson Mandela is not a small headline. You have to do a little bit more introspection and understand what the hell's going on with Nelson Mandela.
Right.
A person on social media reading like Ben Affleck's Batman, what the WTF?
Hashtag WTF.
Hashtag WTF. That's easier to digest as a weirdo social media, easy consumption crap that we're going through now. But like, it doesn't excite me. Like I really like Man of Steel. I think I have a lot of problems with it. But I think the good outweighs the bad, and especially I think that we've talked about this, you love the old school Superman stuff.
I love Christopher Reeve.
I can't stand it. In this one I got a weirdo bearded Superman killing people. Awesome. Tons of deaths. It's something I would never thought I'd see in a Superman movie in my lifetime. And now we're entering into weirdo Ben Affleck world, into this like thing, and like I just keep on thinking of his face. Like I think that. I think it's a big part of it. I think
it's just haunted
because like the whole thing with Batman is the look comes first.
Okay.
When it comes to him, I think the reason why Batman is so awesome, part of the reason why Batman is so awesome, is like he is one of the coolest looking dude. For whatever reason, aesthetically, he triggers off something into every kid's mind that he never let go of, and we love the crap out of the guy.
Right.
So it's even more so in the movies where like this guy's gonna be Batman. Oh, we hate it. When Bale came on, it was like, who cares about this guy? I never even heard of this guy.
Loved it.
I thought it was fantastic. Yeah. I knew there was gonna be something special. But him, I can't picture this much of him as Batman. Now, Michael Keaton is a weird example.
Okay.
Because he was someone like physically I could never say I really would enjoy him as Batman, but I loved him when I was a kid. Yeah. I grew out of him after a while, and now I really have embraced him. I think Michael Keaton is freaking awesome as Batman.
I think the aesthetic is still remaining because he was one of the coolest.
What a suit!
What a suit! The suit made zero sense. If you think about the suit comparatively now to anything, it made zero sense at all. Yeah. But I feel the same way. Where like when I was a kid, dug it, grew up, over it. But when you watch that movie, like the fact that his look in the movie is so tremendous, and like. I know you don't do the collecting, but the Hot Toys version of that,
I would jump on it if I could afford it.
It's so insane. Yeah, it's so insane looking. But yeah, he was a comedian. He was a comedic actor, and then he went from being Mr. Mom to like an awesome Batman.
And also, well, he did like
the time.
He did Clean Sober. He did like a few other more dramatic roles, and he is a very good dramatic actor.
Yes,
I mean he's going to be the guy in RoboCop that we're going to be watching.
Right.
But. The thing about, here's another thing, like the suit and everything. That suit's going to be, everyone's going to be waiting to see what this dude looks like in this suit. We're going to be gnawing at the bit for that. But I think because they're making him into like the goal is to make it like a world weary Batman who is like, you know, kind of he's hurt from all the years and, you know, he's operating the Kingdom Come, you know, bat robots more than anything. I think also because they want to make him look bigger. Go up against because Superman's tremendous in that movie.
Right.
I think they're going to make like a suit of armor type of thing with him.
Okay.
For this movie, go back to like the Keaton way of like I can't move my neck type of thing.
Right. Yeah. Like that's the thing. I'm not gonna say salvageable because that's a big word to use in this situation, especially as like kind of like I don't want to say I'm not a jilted fan, but we're in the same age group where if somebody goes, "Hey, Ben Affleck," you automatically, regardless of whatever this guy's done, he's the guy from Mallrats.
But this guy for me, yeah.
You know, like it's that dude, and then you're like, "Oh, he was in this. He was in this. He married J-Lo. He's in a bunch of terrible movies and a bunch of really good movies." Right, you know, and you just kind of have that whole like, "Oh, Ben Affleck," and the guy's a good actor. You know, the guy's a great director.
I mean,
Great director.
You look at Heath Ledger. He was in Brokeback Mountain.
So what? It's a great movie.
But regardless, it was a total opposite role for him.
I don't think anyone who with half a brain looked at Heath Ledger and said, "What an awful idea." I think people.
Oh
were
my God!
surprised
Do you
by
remember what it was like?
I do. But there's a lot of people. Like I was thinking today. I was just thinking about this today. I was going to put it on Twitter, but I don't use Twitter. I'm very appreciative that we're in a world where, you know, people who never had voices have voices now because of the internet. Right. But the problem is the last voices are always the stupidest freaking voices. Most of the idiots are the ones that are opening their mouths. So for something like the Heath Ledger thing, when it came out, the people were like, "Oh my God, you know, he's not Jack Nicholson. How can we not have Jack Nicholson? He is Joker. Like we should always have Jack Nicholson now." And now the same thing happened with Heath Ledger. Like, oh my God, like there can never be another Joker without Heath Ledger.
Right.
But like I think you're excited about it. I was excited about it. Most of the people that are friends with us really were into the idea of Heath Ledger because he was a good friggin' actor.
Yeah.
You know, but like
you're interested to see his take on it. You know?
Absolutely. And I like experiments. Go ahead.
I like experiments too. Yeah. It's kind of where I was going with it, where you're I don't want to say salvageable, but if they're going that route of a Superman Batman movie, I think your reveal is going to be Batman. It's not going to be like he's there already. I think it's going to be an older Bruce Wayne, almost like Batman Beyond, where you finally see him get into a suit and it becomes like, it goes from being like this hokey, it's Ben Affleck in a Batman costume thing to, oh shit, he's putting the suit on now. And he's going to save the day.
You think that's going to be the case?
I think it's going to go more like that. Like you said with the Kingdom Come stuff where like, you know, like.
You think that this is the first time he's putting on the suit? Ever?
No, I think.
He's been Batman for a long time.
I think he's been Batman for a long time and hasn't put the suit on for a while.
It's going to be Bruce Wayne sitting in front of a computer for most of the movie.
Right. You know, doing like Batman stuff, and there's going to be a heavy concentration on Superman and the Justice League and like whatever, you know.
They're going to do it.
It makes zero sense also to make him like so much older.
Exactly. I think he's going to be a reporter investigating Bruce Wayne, and then there's going to be some type of yada, yada, yada. Writes itself.
And don't forget about the little card.
Yeah, well, they have to
a silver tray.
Have to open up they have to end the movie with this at this point.
It makes it, you know, like, and I think the other part that they may have to do is just to kind of make fans happy and kind of stick to their guns is you're gonna have to introduce another Batman in this movie.
Another Batman?
Yeah, like a replacement for the old Batman.
I don't think so. I think Affleck is really gonna hold on to this. He signed on for multiple movies. There's no way that he's gonna be
Batman Beyond. It doesn't matter that he signed on for multiple. He could be the Bruce Wayne, and then he could have like a Dick Grayson do it, you know?
No.
It's just strange because nobody knows what's going on with the friggin' thing.
Yeah, I don't want I don't have a script. They really don't have any idea what they're doing yet. Like Goya wrote most of it and they pulled in like they were having disputes about it. Because I think at this point you're having two parties. Like Ben Affleck is a huge name and with a huge amount of influence, more so than Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
I think Zack Snyder has, you know, made some successful movies, but he's also made Sucker Punch and you know, it doesn't have the biggest name in the world.
Yeah.
But I think the idea that Zack Snyder wanted to go for with like action-oriented Superman, but with like, you know, him being the alien and all that stuff is going to be completely overshadowed by the Batman stuff.
Yeah.
But I think the film is going to be more than anything is going to be one gigantic circle jerk about what we want to see in Batman and Superman. I think they're going to go the Avengers route and just kind of give them all the Easter eggs and just blow their load on in this movie big time. If they're throwing in Martian Manhunter, Wonder Woman, they want to establish that JLA world immediately. They want to waste no time.
Yeah, but you know, like the tough thing about that is like I don't remember feeling this kind of anxious about Avengers because we were like, oh, it's like Joss Whedon. It's these dudes. All these dudes are awesome. Go make the movie. The movie was fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, like you had that faith of like, this movie's gonna be good or it's gonna look incredible.
Well, they test the waters at that point. We saw the results of the other Marvel movies at that
Right.
point, which are really awesome. The DC universe has been always shaky with their movies.
Yeah, and your litmus test for this movie is non-canon. The only flick that is canon to this universe is Man of Steel, right? And you've had a failure of a Green Lantern movie, and you had 3 amazing Batman movies that might as well be forgotten once this new movie goes into production because you don't have that number one team of Nolan, Bale, Michael Caine.
But what if what if it's a surprise and this is actually Christian Bale Batman being played by Ben Affleck? Because honestly, seeing the way that DC thinks nowadays, they could very well do that and just say, you know what, if we're gonna have Joker, it's gonna be Joaquin Phoenix playing Joker coming out of the Arkham Asylum after all these years or whatever, being broken out. Because do you think that I didn't think about the Joker stuff until the Joaquin Phoenix thing came out.
Okay.
Because they really don't know who he's going to play. The assumption is Lex Luthor, because how can you have a second Superman movie without Lex Luthor at this point? But if it's a team-up movie, why not throw Joker and Lex Luthor into the movie?
Yeah. I think it's going to be Riddler. My money's still on Riddler.
Scott Snyder is writing a gigantic Riddler story now in Batman.
And like why my money's on Riddler is because it's
interesting.
He's been bad. Like that's the thing. Like we're taking it as that this dude's been Batman for a while, so there would have already had to have been the Joker stuff, the Ra's al Ghul stuff, like all that stuff kind of happened. It's not like later in his career he finds like his arch nemesis. I think it's gonna be Riddler.
I don't think it's gonna be Riddler. I think it's an interesting idea what you're saying.
Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna be Riddler.
It makes a lot of sense too, like doing the modern day stuff, and especially like you said with the way Scott Snyder's writing it, where like you're kind of making this guy like a hacker almost, and it fits in with like the modern sensibilities of storytelling.
Sure.
And I think you're gonna get a Lex Luthor. I don't think it's gonna be Joaquin Phoenix. I think who I'd love for Lex Luthor.
Ray Livingston.
No.
A guy from Lost.
Totally blank. No, not the guy. Not Josh Holloway. Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, and he was in the front runner for a while for being Luthor, but then apparently that fell apart.
Yeah, that he'd probably make the best on paper. The best Luthor.
You know what it is? I don't have a lot of faith in their product because of their comics, and their current track record. I think that they're so desperate at this point to make something work. Because Man of Steel did well, but didn't do as well as didn't do Batman numbers.
Right. But it was a good movie.
It was a good movie, and I enjoyed it. But I think there's a lot of room for improvement. I don't think they would actually improve it. I think they would try and throw as much crap into this movie. They're throwing JLA in there, and if you have Superman, Batman, I'm talking about like executives in DC and in the movie business saying, if we're doing a Superman, Batman movie, how are we not going to have Lex Luthor and Joker in the same movie at the same time?
Okay.
Along with Jason Momoa as Martian
Manhunter.
Mashed potatoes Manhunter.
Would you go nuts if Jason Momoa and Roman Reigns were in a movie together?
Oh, absolutely. I would love
to look like the same dude.
I would like them to be. I would like to be both Lobo, 2 Lobos.
Awesome.
Jason Momoa would be an awesome Lobo.
He would. Did you pick up that new Supergirl this week?
No, I'm behind on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, me too. I didn't. I flipped through it a little bit because it was
the Red Lantern stuff.
No, it's the showdown between her and Lobo. Apparently, Lobo shows up to like try and kill her. But like I kind of flipped through and I put it back on the shelf. I was like, I didn't wear it. Yeah.
I know she's joining the Red Lantern. It's like, I mean, I could talk about DC all day long with the crap that they're putting out. Like, my books have dwindled down to
Batman.
Yeah, I'm religiously, and what I'm talking about, what I'm excited for is a new issue of Batman. I do get excited about Forever Evil because it's it's a big thing. I don't get excited about any of the miniseries, any of the spin-offs of Forever Evil.
Yeah, they're kind of like, I like the Rogues one.
I'm behind on that.
It's okay. It's like, I think that's the stuff where it's like, at this point with a lot of the DC titles, it's
middle of the road.
It's the middle of the road, and they're almost kind of like placeholders in the way that you're like, let me see what Green Lantern's up to. Let me see what this guy's up, just so you can keep current. Batman is the best book that they're putting out.
Absolutely. Wonder Woman, I still get excited for. I still read that. That's like on top of my pile. The Green Lantern stuff I was excited about. for whatever reason, after the last storyline, I guess I got burnout or whatever.
Okay.
I think they're doing interesting stuff with some of the Green Lantern crap, but I think they've done so much of it. There's a definite oversaturation of Green Lantern crap that is not particularly selling very well.
Yeah.
Corpse needs to be canceled at this point. Like,
yeah.
I
dropped it.
Did you?
Yeah.
I haven't read it in months, and I feel like I've been reading the same Jon Stewart storyline for like 4 years.
I think for 20 years.
Right. I think it's the same. Like a lot of that stuff just kind of regurgitates.
He's tough to write, man.
He's very difficult.
He's really tough to write because I feel like he's still the one Lantern that they haven't found a good voice for him.
Exactly. Well, they tried with the John stuff, for making him the murderer and like he blew up a plant and everything. But I think the only reason why he gets the attention he is, and I don't think it's because he's one of the sole black characters. I think if he never showed up on that cartoon, they did Hal Jordan for Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah,
he would have been way dead a long time ago.
I agree with that. I completely agree with that.
Because he was, when we were growing up, we had, like, you knew who your Lanterns were, and he was that weirdo that was in the Prestige format in Green Lantern Mosaic that you, like, would pass by and you're, looking through the old back issues.
Because they, you know what, like, they gave you, which is a weird thing, because, like, when you were a kid, they gave you, like, that one Lantern for everybody, where you were, like, you could be a Guy Gardner guy and catch up with him on Justice League International. Like, you can follow Hal Jordan's stories in this, and you can check out Jon Stewart's kind of floating around, like he's kind of a weird Green Lantern.
Well, they did do Green Lantern quarterly for a long time, wasn't that the thing? Like, and they knew, like, once in a while we'll get like a quarterly out, it'll be an annual. We'll get a bunch of like Vertigo writers, a bunch of weird writers, and do some space stuff, do some horror stuff, and we'll just focus on, like, random lanterns, and that kind of is what built the mythology of, like, all these different stories about characters.
Yeah,
I don't want to read another story about Oa starting from scratch.
Right.
I'm burned out on it.
Yeah.
The Flash stuff is just I don't know if I've liked it for the last few months.
I'm kind of behind on it, but like I kind of agree with that, where it's like at some point it just kind of fell off course a little bit
near the end.
One thing about Lantern that I wanted to get in real quick. My favorite Jon Stewart was when they did the Kyle Rayner stuff and he was in a wheelchair. Because
that was good stuff.
Because he was like, he went back to being an architect and he was in the wheelchair, and then like, and they kind of did something interesting where they made it all mental. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Where like he felt so guilty about like all the crap that he's done that he confined himself to the wheelchair. I think I agree with the fact. I agree with what you said. I think after that story, it would have made sense to just like, this dude gets blown away. Yeah. You know, as soon as he came back to action, just gets like completely murdered. Yeah. And that's it. You know. And I think he needs to take a break. They got to take a break from Jon Stewart, especially since the new Lantern is so much more interesting.
Which new Lantern?
Simon.
Oh yeah, and they're not doing anything with him really.
Yeah,
he's gone back to being like a background character.
And it's a shame.
It's a shame too. And like, Guy Gardner, like I think they did some interesting stuff with him where they put him in Red Lantern and try to get him away from the glut of Green Lantern Corps. Because it's a weird book to write, because you're dealing with, like, you have to talk about Jon Stewart, you gotta talk about Kilowog, you gotta talk about the rookies that they always want to do their stuff with. I loved it back in the day when like Bedard and Tomasi were doing it, and they really did an incredible job of like making some interesting stories. But I think we've seen so much, and I think it happens with space books particularly, that there's a burnout after a while. Like the new Alien of the Week, the new guy with like, that's the new Thanos or a new Mongol or whatever they want to do. And I don't think we need like an Orange Lantern book. We don't need a Red Lantern book. We don't need a Green Lantern Corps. They're talking about doing a Sinestro Corps book also. It's a lot of stuff.
Do you think Guardians will suffer from that as well?
I think it's kind of suffering from it right now.
Okay.
I particularly like the book. It is nowhere where I think that book should be.
Okay.
I both me and you are fans of space stuff.
Absolutely.
Period. I'm a huge Guardians of the Galaxy fan. I read it when Valentina was on in the 90s. I was always fascinated by their stuff. We both love the Abnett Lang stuff, in which they completely made the model of how to do space stuff in the 21st century. And it was fantastic. And now we've kind of regressed to making a smaller cast, making it the Bendis style of, talking head stuff.
Right. It kind of regressed for me too, where it seems like it's teetering on the brink of kind of like, I don't
know what to do with this book.
It's kind of like the space stuff. Maybe Bendis can't really do the space stuff that well.
I think he spent. No, it is. It feels. I feel like they made the announcement about the movie. They need to have a book on the stands and allow new people to get associated with the Guardians of the Galaxy and know who the hell these characters are before they put them on screen. And they said, who can do it? Bendis is coming off Avengers. He could write a lot of books all at once. I think his energy is definitely going towards his X-Men stuff.
Absolutely. I think it's interesting that how that rumor surfaced months ago about Angela being like an alternate Jean Grey. And the next storyline is
a trial.
Is a crossover between
those two books,
X-Men and Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's what kind of cemented it for me.
Yeah.
And now they announced that they're adding another member too, which I'm excited about.
To Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
Who is that?
Venom. Who'd have thought?
Oh yeah. You gotta put him in space, man.
Can you? But he's a fascinating story. I think that is one of the biggest, successful in my eyes redesigns of a character, reimagining of two characters essentially.
Flash Thompson,
and Venom. What they've done to the character is fascinating.
Yeah.
And where they brought him and like the fact that throwing them on the Guardians of the Galaxy is really some ballsy shit.
It's really cool. I really enjoyed Remender's
so good.
Venom.
It was so
and I feel like that's gonna go down as like one of the most underrated runs on a title.
Such a good book.
And then like the Bun stuff, not so much, But like Remender when he's on top, it's that like the crazy. It's the good like sci-fi crazy Uncanny Avengers.
Before we go into that, have you read Black Science?
No, I actually got 1 and 2 at home.
I haven't read the second one yet either, but I love the concept of it. And the book makes me so pissed off because it's an idea that I wish I thought of.
Okay.
And also the name is so awesome. Black Science is such a great name that I've never heard before.
Do you wish you were a superhero called Black Science?
I wish I did something with Black Science.
Living in Harlem in the 70s?
I wish I had a website called Black Science. I wish I had a record label called Black Science.
Do you wish you were a rapper called Black Science?
I wish all that stuff.
There could be a rapper called Black Science.
It probably is. I came up with a rap name this week.
Go ahead.
Chili Sense.
Chili Sense?
Yeah.
Like money sense or like
cold money.
Chili like brain sense.
No, like money, like Chili Sense. Cold money.
I'm thumbs down in that one.
Well, it's supposed to be a thumbs down. Chili Sense. Call me Cold Money.
Cold Money.
Anyway,
I lost track of thought. I lost my train of thought.
We were talking
Uncanny
about
Avengers.
Uncanny Avengers.
Do you want to talk about that now, or you want to go into
we'll talk about it now.
The other movie stuff?
Let's talk about this.
Well, Uncanny Avengers this week, a perfect reminder of why Remender can handle a book like this. More specifically, if anybody's read the book and it came out yesterday, but the Century Brain stuff.
Oh, that's so cool.
Right, exactly, and that's like the Remender stuff. Where like he's an awesome pulp writer.
If I'm not wrong, also this is McNiven's first issue on this book, right?
I don't know.
I don't think he did the issue before this because it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, man.
So let's get some setup for that piece. Like Century was. I think we're all weirdly interested in the Century, but I think we can all. I think we come to the conclusion that it's a very difficult character to write long term,
right?
Because you eventually just go back to him going crazy. This way, with him being a member of the Four Horsemen, he's able to be crazy 24/7. Just quoting the Mariner, and he's quoting Bible scripture. He's ripping ripping his face off. And like showing his brain, it was a really great way of kind of showing this really scary, weird character.
Yeah, it's really bananas, and the fact that this is my favorite iteration of the Horsemen, and just the fact that they work. So it's a very well thought out book, and it also kind of. It holds a good place because you don't really know when it happens, and it also ties into a lot of the Marvel stuff that's happened and will happen. The fact that they reveal that it's essentially Thor's fault that all this crap is that the book ends with who's the dude's name? He's like the
Apocalypse Twins.
No, the Executioner. He's like the
Exeter.
The Executioner.
Yeah.
Who's like the Giant Celestial who just stands next to Earth and gives it a thumbs down.
Yeah.
And I just want the next panel to be him punching it. Just that's it. No like Kirby Crackle or anything. Just like I'm punching the Earth right now.
I actually had a brain fart when I saw the guy. I'm like, I've never seen this guy before. He showed up in another book too. I think in the issue before because there's an interesting thing going on also that I think we didn't talk about at all. Did we talk about on there about all the deaths that they did?
Well, you know what? That issue came out like
way
when we were doing it was like when we were not here.
Yeah, so the issue before this was like the big issue where in one issue they killed off Scarlet Witch, Rogue, and Wonder Man.
Yeah,
And this is the fallout of that, and like how basically the plan is falling apart. But there was that great thing they did with Kang, where he's going around creating his own army.
Yeah.
And he got like Strife from some weird future.
Yeah.
He got a Deathlock Abomination.
Doom 2099.
Doom 2099. Venom from Earth X.
Yeah.
Which is May Parker, which is the daughter of Spider-Man. His Venom costume. There was somebody else too on that team.
Yeah.
But they were like, these time champions who were like really weird.
Did you lose it when you saw Strife?
Well, yeah. Well, Strife has also been showing up in Uncanny X-Force,
Okay.
the Cable and X-Force book, which I'm like slowly catching up on. So it was nice. I think seeing Strife always is kind of a treat at this point for whatever reason.
It reminds you of when you were a kid.
Yeah, and I think it's a crazy freaking costume. He's like made out of razor blades.
Yeah.
And like Doom 2099, it's like I'm always gonna lose my crap for that. That was one of the best freaking books. So they have that storyline, and then they have all the stuff like coming back from his X-Force run. From Avengers X-Force run, like all the stuff about like they're coming down on Wolverine because he's a murderer.
Basically, all this stuff's gonna bite him in the ass at some point.
All the apocalypse stuff is now bled into all this stuff, and it's awesome. And like honestly, this team is a complete failure.
Yeah. It's what's interesting about this team also is that your comedy relief comes from Havoc and Captain America.
Captain America being deaf,
right? Captain America, like all that stuff was great, and just like and the Wasp stuff, I thought was awesome. And you still get like I think that it's written in a Marvel writer's contract that if Thor's in a book, you have to make him do some really awesome stuff.
Yeah,
like,
there has been amazing Thor stuff overall in the last 10 years.
Absolutely,
in big events, they really do. He is their great nullifier.
Absolutely, like when in the last issue of Infinity, where Thanos is like. Like basically like come at me, like what kind of god's gonna save you? And the next page is Thor trying to bash his head in with the hammer. Just like
and they also did the he killed Sentry, and they did in this Infinity also he did the awesome around the world killing of one of the aliens. What were they called? The builders. The builders.
Yeah. Oof, which is really cool stuff. And like I don't think we talked about any of that at all. The Infinity kind of. No, we did it last week. We did last week, yeah.
But the Uncanny Avengers stuff has been kind of its own little pocket universe for the most part.
And you still had the tease from like just the unresolved stuff from the beginning of the series with the Red Skull, with Onslaught, all the Kang stuff, which is gonna go completely bananas.
Oh yeah.
The resolution of Rogue getting murdered, and that was a great death. Too. And I hope they keep it.
Not gonna keep
as like for at least a year or so.
Yeah, I think for the majority of this run, I think they're gonna bring him back somehow, especially by the end of this stuff.
Yeah,
it was so. I mean, like how often you get that many deaths in one book?
Not very often,
and not even an anniversary issue or anything like that. You would, if you're a writer or editorial, you'll probably say, spread these out.
Yeah,
make a little bit more of it. But
I also feel like this book is kind of overlooked by a lot of people.
I think it started out big when Cassie came on. I think it definitely does get lost in the shuffle. I don't feel there's enough people talking about the quality of the book. But that's the same thing happened with his X-Force.
Yeah.
It sold well. It got a lot of attention. It was getting critical praise, but I don't think there's much of a conversation about it.
Yeah. That's what I feel like is lacking with this. I mean, there's like, if you go deep into forums, absolutely. It's like, especially like your diehards, but I think the Fairweather fan isn't picking up the Uncanny Avengers book. No. Like it may be the one that's like, maybe I won't pick this one up this month. And like, I think a lot of Marvel books, which is a shame too, because, like we were talking about with DC, where you have your big marquee characters and your big name characters and people are eating those books up, but you're not getting a great story. With Marvel is that across the board, for the most part, you're getting excellent stories and just kind of like, do you really, if you're like just a Fairweather fan and you don't know that Cable and the X-Force is good, are you going to buy it?
No, I think there's a lot of fat that could be trimmed off.
There's a million X-Men books again.
Well, they're doing the smart thing with the X-Force stuff. They're combining the two books.
Right.
Because they don't need two X-Force books out.
No.
I think there's certain things. I think the Fairweather fan is usually, I think the guy who they're kind of writing the books for, period. I think that's overall they're doing like number one. They want number one. So like the guy who's just walking to a comic book shop for the first time or picking up an app and downloading stuff for the first time, they can easily accessible book. But I don't think Marvel is very, the gears and everything that's been going on, I don't think there's a lot of that. Which is fine for me. For me as a fan who's been following all this crap for the last, few years, like trying to get into Hickman's run at this point is very difficult.
It's very, very difficult, especially because you need that Fantastic Four run as the primer, the intro to all this stuff.
And you need at least 4 books. You need New Avengers, you need Avengers,
Yeah.
You need Fantastic Four. You're going to need Avengers World.
You need FF.
You need Infinity.
Yeah, you need Infinity. It's a lot of stuff, and it's cool. You build your solid universe that way. But like you're still gonna get people buying comics, but it's just like the real fans know the difference at this point. Like, oh, I'm definitely gonna get. Who cares if Amazing Spider-Man's not on the shelf anymore? It's Superior Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see what happens.
Yeah, well, that's it. That book alone has enough of a curiosity with it. Like,
yeah.
You hear in passing, Dr. Octopus is Spider-Man now. Like, what?
You just sold anybody who
it's like, even if they say it's stupid or they're interested by it, they're still going to be somewhat drawn to that type of thing.
But the interesting thing, I was thinking about this today, is there's still that generational gap when you buy a comic book where, like guys who, when we used to work at the store, guys who were in their 50s and 60s would complain about how your best era of comics were Stan Lee and Steve Ditko.
Yeah.
There would be dudes who were a little younger who would be like, no way, man, like the stuff in the 70s is Iron Fist, you can't beat it.
90s.
And then you get your 90s dudes who were just like, everybody had Wolverine claws, this is the greatest thing on earth. And then like after that, like I feel like that voice isn't apparent yet, like your 2000s voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know who they are. They're the people who are reading like Johnny the Homicide Maniac, stuff like that.
That little bit of.
They're gonna be there's this outspoken people, and then who read the My Little Pony comics.
Nothing beats the Max. The Max is awesome. But
did you pick that up? The remastered stuff?
I got both of them. I didn't.
I picked it. I thought
they redid the Max.
Yeah.
They just redid the colors and the inking and stuff like that. It looks fantastic. That is a crazy friggin' story. That is so way ahead of its time. That was the Sandman of Image. It's a good segue for.
That's a great segue because apparently, and I want to.
It's been happening very fast.
Can I break the news?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm sure the news.
No, please,
but I want to because I want your reaction to it. Joseph Gordon-Levitt apparently he's signed on to direct and star in
definitely produce
a Sandman flick for DC.
Yeah,
like not the gas mask guy, but the Dream King guy.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I was thinking.
It would be kind of cool if he was the gas mask guy.
I thought you were confusing two Joseph Gordon-Levitts. That there's a gas mask guy, a version of like JGL that we don't know about.
I kind of want him because I was talking to the wife about it. Huge Sandman. She doesn't like it. Right? Did she like him?
She
likes him, but she just doesn't see him as Sandman. Like her ideal Sandman is David Bowie, the young David Bowie,
which is never gonna happen.
Never gonna happen. I said I would love him as Sandman, but with Bruce Willis face on.
No. I would like to see it, but no. You know what? I thought about this a lot this week because it seems like it's gonna happen.
Okay.
It seems like it's kind of getting close to an actual thing because there's a lot of traction on it. They've been waiting for this forever. Apparently, JGL is already talking to Neil Gaiman and everything. And I'm not gonna say Joseph Gordon-Levitt every single time because I really, it's a mouthful. So I'm gonna do JGL. I hate doing that shit. I think his production fantastic.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind him. I could see him as Sandman. I could see him as Dream.
Okay.
I think a lot of people can play Dream.
How do you envision Dream talking? Do you imagine him kind of foppish and very ethereal, or do you imagine him having like a really just a booming voice?
You want to know what my plan for this thing was before I even answer that question?
Please tell me.
I think Sandman's an incredibly difficult story to film.
Mm-hmm.
It's a crazy story. The first story arc is insane. I think it's able to, like the hell thing, Dot Destiny.
Right. It starts with him being in prison.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the ideal way is early on establish a mythology of him that this guy appears as other things. What's that movie that what's his name did?
The Bob Dylan movie?
No. Well, it's kind of like it, but the movie that what's his name did, it wasn't very good with Johnny Depp, Heath Ledger, the guy the 12 Monkeys did it.
The Parnassus.
Yeah, Dr. Parnassus. Like, I would love to see a bunch of actors portray Dream, and they do, like, every single time he's, in a different segment of the film and doing that. It's never going to happen.
Right.
The way that I picture him speaking is kind of tied into, like, what version of him is appearing. I always picture him as a cold son of a bitch. Like, really distant from, any type of humanity. Because I think that's the way he's portrayed for the most part.
Okay. I always kind of picture him talking like Neil Gaiman also.
But Neil Gaiman's got a sweet voice.
Kind of like,
no. No. He's just very distant. Like, I think Neil Gaiman is very engaging. I think he wrote him to be like a voice for him.
Jude Law Sandman. Cast it.
I'll see it. I'll take what's his name? My boy, Guy Pearce as Sandman.
I'm gonna blow you away. And the wife suggested this one. Cumberbatch.
No.
Perfect. That guy's perfect Sandman.
I think he'd be an amazing Destiny.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't think
right.
I do not want to see Cumberbatch's face because he's supposed. Listen, Cumberbatch I like a lot. I think he's a weird looking dude.
I think he looks exactly like Sandman.
No, Sandman's supposed to be completely aesthetically. He's supposed to be as completely your dream lover for the most part. He's supposed to be in the interpretation of your psyche, and he's supposed to be the most pretty much.
That's what. What's the name supposed to be?
But he also, because if you see, because it's also the idea of the dream being tied into desire, where it's not just the hallucination of your psyche working, but it's also projection of what your culture is telling you is kind of an ideal. Because that's why like the African queen Nala,
right.
Caesar, and it's a cat head at one point, and he's a big bird. Another one story. I think there's the endless all have to kind of feed into each other. So there's a lot of casting stuff going on because if you talk about him, you got to talk about all the endless.
Go for it. Destruction, Josh Holloway.
Destruction, Sheamus.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. You know what? I've never seen the guy act, but I'm pretty sure Sheamus can't act.
He can't act. I saw him in one movie, but I think as Destruction for a limited role, just being a guy who laughs and blows stuff up and is on the run for the most story is pretty good.
Okay.
Bobby had an idea, and I think I probably kind of agree with him that they're gonna make Destiny a black guy.
Okay.
Because they usually do that with like Hamdell, you know what? They're all
the Watchers.
They're all white guys. They're all white guys in the family. We need to have the one black guy and put him in the robes and put him with the big book.
Okay. All right. Fine.
I want Tilda Swinton as Desire.
Yeah. I feel like it's got to be somebody younger. A
lot of people want Angela Jolie as her.
No
especially
way.
since she had the mastectomy. So she now can play the dual role of being neither male or female.
Okay.
Can work kind of well. When I first heard, I was like, oh, no friggin' way. I don't want to see that. But the more I think about it, I think she could kind of do a good job with that.
Okay.
Another idea was, these are not all my picks.
That's fine.
They're Despair.
Yes.
Naked Kathy Bates.
Oh, it's gross.
Yeah. But that's what you're supposed to get from her.
McCarty. I forgot her first name.
No, that'd be too jokey.
You think so?
I don't want any comedians involved in this thing. No.
Chris Rock's gonna be Destiny.
Chris Rock is gonna be playing what's his name?
Hannibal Buress is gonna be Destiny.
I think Delirium gonna cast very badly.
I would like to see
Ellen Page is gonna be Delirium.
I would love to see I'm terrible with celebrity names today.
Tell me where it's from.
Wednesday from Addams Family.
Christina Ricci?
Yeah.
She wouldn't do it. I don't think she'd do it. I think she'd be all right though. But I think because she's supposed to be so young for the most part and so unusual, and she's one of the more
hit girl.
She's weird, man. I like her, but she's weird. I don't think because you know what it is? I think because we regard this as such a high form of fiction that you kind of want the absolute. You want prestige behind these guys.
You want Peter Jackson to cast the Sandman movie.
Want Peter Jackson going anywhere near this movie.
Why not?
He's no.
Do you agree? Disagree? Do you think Peter Jackson can make a better Sandman movie than JGL?
No.
Really?
No.
Why?
Because I think that his idea of filmmaking is so far different than when he started. I think that probably JGL is probably much more committed to the work. I think he's probably a big fan of the book for the most part. I don't think he's just doing it I heard Sandman's a pretty thing, let me pick it up. I think he's probably been doing this for a long period of time. I think Peter Jackson would do weirdo crap and make I don't think he has a good grasp of what makes Sandman Sandman. Because Hobbit just threw me off.
Okay, it's too long.
Overall, I don't think that I'm not a big. Have you watched the Lord of the Rings movies recently?
I have not seen the new one.
No, I'm saying even
in
the original trilogy.
For the most part, I mean, they're always on TNT for some reason.
So I don't think they've aged very well at all. I think they're actually like the Spider-Man movies, where it's a lot of slow motion of people faces and I think when a lot of people think of Lord of the Rings, you think of the first thing that pops in your head is Gollum and or the cool stuff. In my mind is when Frodo wakes up in that elf country and it's Frodo, and they're all running to him in slow motion, and there's an inherent softness to the way that for lack of a better term.
Okay,
there's an inherent softness that comes with his craft.
Are we gonna have to do a whole show about you? I can go tearing down Lord of the Rings.
I could do it.
I know you could do it.
I could do it.
That's on the berating hour.
I'm not. Yeah, I'll take that bet.
All right. Okay, let's skip Peter Jackson. Guillermo del Toro.
Absolutely.
Drop the water.
Absolutely. I think he would.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's the greatest filmmaker in the world. I think his intentions are always better than his execution.
Okay.
I think his foreign language stuff is where he really has a strong grasp. His best movies are all the Spanish stuff.
Okay.
I love Pacific Rim. Do I think it's like the echelon of filmmaking? Absolutely not.
See it.
You should see it. You'll enjoy it.
I have it at home. I just
you'll love it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not putting it down at all. I think this is his reawakening himself.
Magnum opus.
Yeah, I love Hellboy and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I think that he would get that inherent weirdness that comes along with characters who embody these big elements, but the homeliness of it. Like death is such a big part of the thing. I don't see death being cast properly. Like I think Scarlett Johansson, probably death.
All right.
I notice I like casting now the worst case scenario.
Okay.
So I get the happy accidents if they do cast very well.
All right. Well, that's usually what I do is I set my expectations.
Keanu
low.
Reeves as Dream.
Okay. It works. You wanted soulless and just cold. Keanu Reeves' delivery is perfect for that.
He kind of would be. And you know what?
Throw woe in there.
They're gonna get rid of one of the jewel, like you have the jewel, the mask, and the sand. They're gonna get rid of the jewel. They're gonna give him a shotgun. Scarlett Johansson is Death.
What a movie.
Death is going to be Hal Burst.
Can Alex Winter be Destiny?
How many endless are there? 7?
Yeah, there's destruction, there's death, there's despair, destiny, desire, dream, and the other guy.
Doogie Breath. Dream, destiny, destruction, death, delirium, despair.
Delirium is the one I missed.
And who's the other one? Delirium,
desire,
and destiny. So, interesting characters.
Think about them.
I think destruction would probably be the easiest one to cast. I think
Josh Holloway.
He could. You know what? I'll give you this one.
Yes,
he could do it. He could, because it doesn't demand a lot. He does have a very small role.
Okay,
but an important role. Delirium, I think, would be a disaster. I think all women roles would be a disaster. I think they'd.
You know what I'm hoping for, honestly. Like not to cut you off, but it just
please.
It's popped into my brain right now. Possibility of him not starring in it but being in it. JGL, John Constantine, I'm with it.
Well, they are. Guillermo del Toro has the deal with DC also to make their monster movie. They wanted to do like a Justice League Dark with Frankenstein and all that stuff, and he would have his finger on Constantine. But I think logistically it would be an awesome idea. And that way you could write him into the first storyline just like they did originally. With have him instead of like Martian Manhunter, they'd spend a little bit more time with Constantine.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that because JGL has such a foothold on this, they wouldn't cross-populate.
JGL Constantine would be great.
I would love it.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great. But I'd rather go with a freaking British person to play Constantine at this point.
Before we go, we got a couple of minutes. We got to touch on one more casting news that came out this week, which I'm totally with it. I don't know if you're with it. I didn't really gather a sense of that, if you think it's stupid or not. But apparently Ant-Man is going to be played by Paul Rudd.
Oh, that's right. I thought it's great. I think it's great.
I think it's great also.
We should have talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
I think he's really close to signing the deal, apparently. I think it's awesome casting.
You're gonna get Seth Rogen in this movie too, and Jason Segel.
Oh boy, he's Seth Rogen's gonna play Hank Pym.
Awesome. I'd like to see that. What were you gonna say? Or
I was gonna make Seth Rogen joke, but it's not worth it.
Okay. All right, everybody, that's it. We're done. Stay tuned for another show. I'm your host, Rich.
Wubba wubba.